Welcome to VGK Today, a daily podcast providing you an inside look at the Vegas Golden Knights 2025 Stanley Cup playoff run. I'm Justin Russo with the Golden Knights on Tuesday, April 29th, as we get ready for Game 5 between the Knights and the Wild coming up tonight at the Fortress. Again, I'll remind you that puck drop is set for 6:30 p.m. tonight, so make note of that whether you're coming to T-Mobile Arena or you're just tuning in from home. 6:30 puck drop tonight for Game 5 between the Knights and the Wild. Of course, the series is tied at 2 after Vegas' overtime win in Game 4, and a big reason for that comeback initially was the Knights' third period effort. Down 2-1, they got a couple of goals in the third and eventually forced overtime to get that win. And one of the players that sparked that comeback was Vegas forward Nic Roy. So we'll step aside, and when we come back, Daren Millard catches up with Nick to recap Game 4 and look ahead to Game 5. Golden Knights fans, with the first round series with Minnesota going at least 6 games, that of course means there's another road game on deck and another official watch party. Game 6 official watch party will come your way from Stadium Swim at Circa Resort and Casino coming up for Game 6 on Thursday. Game time is yet to be determined, but doors are going to open 1 hour beforehand, and anyone wearing VGK gear gets in for free. Now, I will remind you that it is a 21 and older venue at Circa Resort and Casino, so keep that in mind when you're making plans for Thursday. If you do attend, well, there's going to be a DJ, visits from the VGK cast, and raffle prizes, including tickets to future Golden Knights games. Giveaways for all fans will include VGK sunglasses, rally towels, and more. That is Thursday, May 1st, official Golden Knights watch party for Game 6 of the first round between the Knights and the Wild coming your way at Stadium Swim at Circa Resort and Casino.
When you look back at the first 4 games, how do you evaluate it as a player, the back and forth that we've seen?
I mean, it's a series. There's always going to be ups and downs, but no, I think you look back at the second game, I don't think we played our game, too many turnovers. Obviously, that one got out of our way, but you look at the 3 other games, I think we made ourselves a good chance to win, and obviously we won 2 of those 3. So just gotta come ready to play tomorrow.
So what's the vibe like from a series perspective inside the room? The highs and lows, or does it get quiet at certain times, or is it pretty consistent?
I mean, pretty consistent, I would say. Could feel it a little bit before last game. The guy were a little more anxious, right? It was a really important game for us, but overall, I think through the years we always done a good job. Even in the biggest pressure moments, we always find a way to kind of have fun and relax a little bit. So we got a lot of guys with experience over here, so it makes a big difference.
You were on the ice front and center for the overtime goal. Did you look back at it?
Yeah, I saw it
and
back.
Did it happen the same way as you thought it was happening in real time? Like, did those two things match up? Because it happened so fast.
Those moments on the ice, they always feel like they're longer, right? And then you watch it on video, and it was like, oh, that was only half a second, right? So, no, it was fun. It was fun to watch it. A nice goal with obviously Barbie going at the net there. Usually in playoffs, those goals in overtime are never pretty. There's always like kind of mucking type of goals in net front. So, it was a good feeling for sure.
Do you remember kicking the puck?
Yeah, I do remember that part. My stick was tied up, so I was like, oh, I'll kick it on net to see what happens. And obviously Barbie was there ready to score that big goal. So it was fun to see.
I don't think the puck hit the back of the net before Barbie was turning around to celebrate, too.
Yeah, it was kind of a flipper in the air. Like, you could see it in slow motion almost. And it even took a while for the red light to at the goal line there to open the red light. So, it was fun to see, like I said.
So now what do we get for game number 5? Have you righted the ship? You're in the path. You talked about game 2 to game 3 to game 4.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously want to play 60 minutes. The start is going to be really important. I think we got to keep doing our game. I think when we're hard, we compete. We go hard on the forecheck. We play as a 5-man unit. I think that's when we play our best hockey, and we just got to play that for a full 60 minutes.
Have you played with Barbie much?
I played last year. Last year I played maybe 10 games with Barbie and Marchie, and it went really well actually. This year maybe one game or two, not so much.
You've been with Riley a little bit over the years?
I've been with Riley maybe. Well, when we got back, he got back from the trade there. I played with him for maybe 7 games around there. So
not a lot of familiarity with that line.
No, not at all. But it clicked right away, and hopefully it stays that way. I mean, with 3 players that like to make plays and hang on to the pucks and make plays, so should be good.
Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, Daren.
Well, Nic adjusting to his new line mates pretty well, I'd say. Of course, getting that goal in Game 4. And, it's easy to forget that while some of these guys have been teammates for years, some of them, they may not have that built-in chemistry because they've just been on separate lines for the vast majority of the time. And, of course, as Nic talked about there, he's sprinkled in some games with Riley Smith, Ivan Barbashev, different guys over the years. But when you look at it in totality, it's just not a lot of time for some of these guys. Now, the good news is that despite any history that the new combinations might or might not have had, they did find some magic in Game 4 to propel Vegas to that victory, and it does appear we'll get to see more of the same tonight in Game 5 with those shuffled around forward groups for head coach Bruce Cassidy. For more on handling new line mates and working through some of those challenges, let's listen into what Jack Eichel had to say to the media on Monday at City National Arena.
You and William Karlsson on the line together last game. You said you're both good players. You guys can figure out who goes where. Just kind of curious how that conversation goes between the two of you.
Obviously just want to communicate on the ice, make sure someone's down low helping our D break the puck out and playing the center ice position, and I think you just kind of read off each other. Carl's such a great player. He's super easy to play with, and obviously we know what Pav brings and his ability to score and shoot the puck and make plays. So I thought we did a good job of just getting some looks off the cycle and creating some offense, and obviously trying to keep them off the score sheet as well.
That chemistry you guys have on the PK, how can it translate to 5-on-5, or is it pretty much the same thing?
Just using our speed, I think, trying to attack when we have the opportunity, and reading off each other. Both of us natural-born centermen, and I think it gives us the ability to take faceoffs on both sides and help each other out when need be down low. And he's such a great skater. He can create a lot of stuff through the neutral zone just by himself, and I think using that speed to our advantage will be good.
What does that saying about the chemistry that this late into a series you guys can shuffle the lines and still find the ways to work well together? Yeah,
I think it's important. I think we have all smart players on this team, and guys are easy to play with. I think you can shuffle lines up when need be, and you get a good result. So I think that's something. Sometimes that's what happens. You need to shuffle things up, and all of a sudden you catch a spark. So like Hurst and Stoney, obviously they score a big goal for us. Wazzy, Barbie, and Smitty get one late, and like I've said before, it's we rely on all of our forwards and all our defensemen to contribute, and I don't think it really matters who you're playing with. I think it's just trying to bring whatever you have to the team and help the team win.
Once the lines have been changed, or whatever game it may be, does Bruce come back to you and say, hey, how did that feel? I mean, did they consult with you in terms of which lines you guys felt comfortable with, and what did you come away with?
I mean, he's obviously asking our opinions on things and trying to get feedback. So I think it worked well. Obviously, we won the game. I thought we generated some good looks and had some opportunities, and we'll continue to get better. So I think in that sense, you want to keep rolling with it.
Well, Jack working now with William Karlsson and Pavel Dorofeev on his line, and as Bruce did recently say, with players that smart, he just trusts them to figure it out on the fly, right? Whether that's in the face-off dot, on the rush, in the D zone, and Bruce is putting trust in that unit to find success, and really a lot of these jumbled up forward groups moving forward. We'll step aside once more, and when we come back, we'll hear some of what the VGK leadership had to say, as we heard from both Bruce Cassidy and Kelly McCrimmon on Monday. And we'll also recap yesterday's Stanley Cup playoff action. Golden Knights fans, if you want your football fix this spring, you can always check out the Vegas Nighthawks, who are back at Lee's Family Forum coming up this Saturday, May 3rd, and next Saturday, May 10th. Catch the fast-paced, family-friendly action of indoor football with tickets available at nighthawksfootball.com. Also, you can get the experience of playoff hockey firsthand by heading out to the Vegas Golden Knights at the Fortress. A limited number of tickets still available for Game 5. Visit vegasgoldenknights.com to learn more. All right, let's hear some of what Bruce Cassidy had to say to the media on Monday as he and the team continued their preparation for Game 5.
Pietrangelo wasn't out there. Any update?
Just maintenance. He'll be ready to go tomorrow.
Obviously settled on the lines that he rolled with in Game 4. After looking back at the film, what did you like about that group and what they were able to finish with in Game 4?
All the lines are, well, I mean, the overtime goal is, big goal for Nic Roy's line. I thought he was had good jump. He played with Smitty when Smitty first reacquired him. I liked what they brought. Barbie's played with Nick and probably Colasar more than Smith, so he's been there. Jack and Carly were, that was a little one that matchup dictated. I got two of our best centers against their top line, and they were okay with it. So we just made a move, shuffled some people around. Hurdle and Saad stayed together with Stoney on the right. So Pav then moves up. Howie lands, like I said, Howie was a little under the weather with Pearson and Colasar. And they've played together a lot. That line's been together. I don't know how much, but you know what I mean. Like, they've been in that role, all of them. So that didn't seem to be a stretch. So we're going to stick with that at least for today. Today's over. So we'll see you tomorrow.
Bruce, hi. I want to ask you about trust. Trust in yourself, trust in your staff, and most importantly, trust between you and your players. As you factored all of that into your decisions that went into Game 4, how much of it has been a cumulative thing on your part to build that trust between you and your players?
Well, it's our part, right? I mean, it's a two-way street. I can't trust my whatever decisions, strategy, approaches if they don't. I don't trust them to get the job done and just play hockey and not overtax them with thoughts and different things, right? So there's that you just build over time. We had a good playoff run. I mean, it's a great playoff run the first year. So it was a great way to build trust, right? You win in the end. We make some adjustments. We don't take them out of their element either. It's not. I don't think it was anything. Just whatever was required, a little tweak here or there, and the lines is a little different. I think you got to talk to players, see how they feel about that. Because sometimes they'll say, no, we can fight through this. We got it. Okay, you got it. Good. I'm just trying to help you out. I think that's what you do with your players that maybe it isn't going, especially the top guys. They're under a lot of scrutiny, especially playoff time. It gets, under a microscope even more. So let's help them out. And if they need a change, they get a change, right? And you don't know. That's part of it. You go into the playoffs with an idea until you get, whatever, you get punched in the face, right? And then it's on. So that's a little bit of the thought process. And I think the players do trust in us. I think we come with them a good plan. We're not coming out of left field. We explain it. It's in video. Here's why. Here's how it looks. They can only answer that. But I certainly trust them to be able to adjust. I've said many times, it's a high hockey IQ bunch. I've always believed that certain adjustments offensively with the puck, you do need to walk through in practice. It's just not that easy as drawing it on a board. So that's the part that gets that you need to work through, and that's where a day like today is handy.
Along those lines, obviously Eichel's getting a lot of defensive attention, and like you said, that's kind of a compliment to him. What have your conversations been with him, and how do you think he's handling kind of fighting through that attention to try to get going?
I thought his game elevated. In Game 4, you could tell, like, against second and third period, he's more vocal. He's being a little more physical in the battles and that time of year. So I have no issue with Jack at all. I think he's been the victim of some bad luck in terms of the plus-minus side. He's always been a plus player here, so I'm not going to read too much into that number. Offensively, we're trying to help any way we can to sort of, here's what we're seeing to make a few more plays. But he's had some looks and just hasn't been like his series necessarily where the puck's followed him around. And I said this before, that I hate always going back, but sometimes it's relevant. Is like Jonathan Marchessault didn't score till went 5 against Winnipeg, game 3, I think, in Edmonton. So you're 8 games in, and the guy won the Conn Smythe. So, like, things can change. Like, sometimes it just doesn't go your way early, and you got to help the team win, and that's what we're asking Jack. Now, yeah, he's a driver, and that's going to bother him if it's talked about, and it will be talked about. If I'm watching another series and I see his numbers, I'm like, oh boy, he's not going, but we're here every day and we see what he's doing, and that's why we switched it up a little bit to sort of see if that could help. We're trying to give him ideas in the power play, and I think our power play has been effective for the most part. It scored goals for us. Both games we won, it was a big factor. One of the games we lost, we didn't get one, so it's irrelevant. Game 3, I'd say, yeah, we could have finished better on it, but I still thought we generated. So all that part of the game, he's been good on the kill. It just hasn't quite come together. So that's it, Jack, stay with it. I guess that's how we, no one's down on you. Keep playing, push through. And that's it. It'll turn, hopefully it'll turn for him in terms of the puck finding him a little more. He's a competitor, and he ain't going anywhere, right? It's just hopefully that he gets a little puck luck. Sometimes, like Theo the other day, right? He scores a goal early, man, the guy's lights out the rest of the day. Sometimes that's all you need, a little weight off your shoulder. They're human too, right? So that's probably what Jack needs, something good to go his way early on. I think you'll see a little bit of what happened to Theo.
Playoffs, you have these big momentum swings. Do you believe they carry game to game, or with 6:30 tomorrow, do you start over again, fresh?
Start over. I think if you're most of the teams that have been there know, right? Now we'd like to take advantage of it on our end and see if we can put them on their heels early on. But I mean, it'll be 2 days between games, and I'm sure they'll just revisit what they've done well against us and say, hey, let's just get back to that. I don't know how much they'll scrutinize the game. That's up to them. But as I say, I don't think it affects you a lot, and that's why it does go back and forth. I mean, if momentum were everything, then you'd see a lot more. You'd see less swings, right? I just think most teams put it behind them. I think as coaches, we have to do. That's one of the tasks you got to do right away. Is try to put the game behind you, no matter what happened, and tweak here or there, and just get your team ready.
Bruce and the team ready for a clean slate in Game 5, and while the Knights may be feeling good heading into the game, they know the only thing that matters is what they do on the ice tonight at the Fortress. Quick side note, too. I love that I said, we'll listen into some of what Bruce Cassidy had to say, and I included over 7 minutes of his commentary from Monday, but I have to qualify it like that because he spoke for almost 15 minutes to the media. Just a credit to how good Bruce is with the media, how detailed his answers are, and how at the end of the day, he really just loves to talk hockey. He could fill an entire VGK Today podcast by himself, but we'll cut him off and we'll limit him to about half of what he said on Monday, as he is one of the better coaches around the league to listen to overall. Just talk the game of hockey. All right, shifting gears over to the general manager now of the Golden Knights, Kelly McCrimmon. Let's listen into some of his chat with Daren and Ryan Wallace from his weekly appearance on the VGK Insider Show.
What have you liked about your team through the first 4 games of the series?
Well, the series have been close in the West in general. When you look at the 4 series, every one of them is tied at 2 games apiece. What have I liked? I guess, I've liked the fact that I thought we played, better in Game 4 than we had certainly in Games 2 or 3. I think that, players get into a series, the series takes on a bit of a life as it extends, and we're at that part of the series now. So I liked how we played in Game 4, and yet, you're in overtime, so that game can go the other way on you. We had a penalty in overtime to kill. So, clutch moment by Ivan Barbashev and his line mates at the time, Nic Roy and Riley Smith, scored a really big goal for us there to get us back to 2-2.
Now, you're an old coach. Were you having trouble keeping track of the line combinations in the third and overtime like I was?
Well, they were different, for sure. And, we had a couple issues that, Bruce was dealing with in terms of availability.
Yeah.
But no, I think that it got people going. I think that it likely gave us a bit of a spark, and that's a trait or a tactic that coaches can use at times when you're looking to get a little bit of juice into your lineup. Sometimes that provides that. So I thought it got some people going, and it was effective when he did it.
Kelly, I'm curious, how do you view game-to-game momentum in a playoff series? Like, do you believe that a big overtime victory like the Golden Knights had in Game 4 can carry over to Game 5, or is each game its own little slice of situation and you're starting over from scratch?
Well, you like to think that it would carry from one game to the next, because certainly you feel much better with 2 days between games. Coming off an overtime win as opposed to a loss, which would have put us down 3-1 facing elimination. That said, I've always felt at playoff time that one of the real challenges or really important aspects of your preparation is to match the desperation of your opponent. So when you're coming off a loss, oftentimes you're more desperate than you might be if you came off a win, so you have to match that.
Kelly, another person very generous with his time, doesn't have to speak this time of year, but still committed to those weekly visits to the VGK Insider Show with Daren and Ryan Wallace every week, even throughout the postseason. Kelly looking for the Knights to, what he said, match the desperation of the Wild as Vegas looks to break that 2-2 series tie with a win and put the Wild on the brink of elimination, heading back to Minnesota for Game 6 on Thursday. Before we leave you, let's quickly recap the 2 Stanley Cup playoff games from Monday night, starting in Sunrise with the Battle of Florida between the Panthers and the Lightning. Now, the road team has won every game in this series to this point, with the Panthers holding a 2-1 lead heading into yesterday's Game 4. And we'll jump right to the midway point of this one for our first goal, as Anton Lundell struck for Florida to open the scoring at 9:06 of the second period. Now, shortly after that, a very controversial play occurred where Florida defenseman Aaron Ekblad elbowed Tampa Bay's Brandon Hagel in the head. Hagel went down to the ice, and he did not return to the game. No penalty was called on the play, though, so nothing came of it, at least on the score sheet for Florida. But again, Hagel didn't return to the game, and that was a big storyline for Tampa Bay, because remember, Hagel was back in this game after he just got done serving a 1-game suspension for a hit on Alexander Barkov back in Game 2. So perhaps that is a continuation of that storyline dating back earlier in this series, but a big blow for Tampa Bay and a big missed call in that series, as many thought Ekblad would end up in the penalty box or even worse with a major or even a misconduct, and we'll see if there's any extra discipline coming down from the NHL after the fact. Bolts coach John Cooper was beside himself on the bench at the lack of the penalty call, yelling at the refs, but Tampa Bay quickly answered with their play on the ice as they scored 2 goals in just 11 seconds to claim a 2-1 lead heading into the second intermission. Those 2 goals coming moments after the hit and the controversial play overall. Tampa feeling good about themselves heading into the third. Now, fast forward. With that same lead deep into the third period, it was Ekblad who reemerged for the Panthers, this time on offense, scoring on a rebound goal in front with under 4 minutes to go to tie the game at 2. Then, in a spectacular turn of events, Florida, just like Tampa Bay did earlier, struck 11 seconds later on a pinball goal from Seth Jones. And after an empty net goal sealed things late, the Panthers snatched victory from the jaws of defeat to claim a 3-1 series lead heading back to Tampa Bay for Game 5. Moving over to a Game 5, we go to Dallas, where we had Game 5 between the Stars and the Avalanche. Now, this one got going right away, as Wyatt Johnston scored the fastest goal to start a game in Stars playoff history, as he beat Mackenzie Blackwood from a sharp angle just 9 seconds into the contest to give Dallas an early lead. Late in the opening stanza, Thomas Harley made it a 2-0 game, while Mikko Rantanen struck against his old team early in the middle frame to put the Stars ahead by 3. Now, the Avs would find their response in the middle part of that second period, getting goals from Arturi Lehkonen and Nathan MacKinnon under 3 minutes apart to quickly make it a 1-goal game. Colorado, though, just could not sustain that momentum, as late in the frame, Sam Malinsky took a 2-minute penalty for elbowing, and Wyatt Johnston got his second of the game with a power play goal. And to make matters worse, the theme of goals in rapid succession on the night continued, as Dallas added another tally before the end of the frame for a 5-2 lead that chased starter Mackenzie Blackwood from the game. Dallas would hold on to the end, and after an empty net goal, cruised to a 6-2 victory to take a 3-2 lead in the series as things shift back to Colorado for Game 6. Well, the first round is really heating up right now, and we expected this out west, right? All those 4 series were tied at 2 after 4 games, and it is a razor-tight margin right now. And I feel like the best is yet to come, with great potential for 1 or even more Game 7s in this opening round. That'll just about wrap things up for today's show. Thank you, as always, for tuning in to VGK Today, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe on your preferred podcast platform, as we'll be back every day throughout the Knights' 2025 Stanley Cup playoff run with new episodes. Tune in tomorrow as Brian McCormick joins us to recap Game 5 between the Knights and the Wild. Justin Russo signing off for VGK Today.